Every day something bad is happening. Every day we hear the news and there's a new disaster. Every single day my phone blows up with notifications of different things that are happening in my area. The sound of despair is deafening. My name is Stephen Ledger. I am a pilot and aircraft mechanic in training. I am a literature evangelist, Bible worker, and disaster relief specialist with Wings for Humanity and Adventist World Aviation. 2.5 years ago, I wanted to become a pararescue jumper in the United States Air Force. What attracted me was their logo. It was of an angel holding the world, and their motto said, "So that others may live." While I was inside the Air Force, I learned the full version of that motto, and it said, "It is my duty as a pararescue jumper to save a life and to aid the injured. I will be prepared at all times to perform my assigned duties quickly and efficiently, placing these duties before personal desires and comforts. These things I do, that others may live." That motto was so selfless, and the logo attracted me so much that I said, that is the man that I want to be one day. I want to be that guy that jumps out of the airplane to save a life, the one who jumps out of the helicopter or swims the distance or runs the miles that need to be run, that can traverse the mountains or the hills to save a life no matter what it takes, putting myself and my life at risk and putting myself aside to save somebody else. That is the mission that I wanted to take a hold of. And so I joined the Air Force to become that. However, while I was in the Air Force, I was struggling to keep the Sabbath. Even though I was giving Bible studies to some of my fellow flight members, it was still difficult for me to hold on to my core beliefs as a Seventh-day Adventist. And so I prayed to God one night while I was in the barracks. I was praying to the Lord, and I was like, "God, if this was not your plan A for me, then I need you to take me out. However, it can't be my plan. It has to be yours. And you can't just leave me hanging. If you take me out, you have to find a way for me." I had signed a 6-year contract with the Air Force, so I knew that I couldn't just walk out. And I wanted to finish the pararescue program, so I told God, "Lord, if this is your will for me to finish strong and find a way for me, then I pray that you may give me the strength to continue." 2 weeks after I said that prayer, I fractured both my legs and I was discharged from the Air Force. I remember leaving the Air Force in a wheelchair. Later on, I was in crutches and then in braces. It took me nearly 7 to 8 months to recover fully from the injuries in my legs. I had bilateral fractures in my right leg and also in my left leg. And I remember praying to God through this recovery time, and I was like, "Lord, you took me out of the Air Force and have left me here for nothing. What's the point?" And God said, "This is what you asked for, isn't it?" And I remembered, I was like, "Yes. But I also asked that you would provide a way for where I was supposed to be." And so along this time, I was looking into aviation simply because being a pilot had always been a dream of mine as well. And I came across Adventist World Aviation. I remember talking to the president, Pastor Rick Swanningson, and him telling me all about Adventist World Aviation. And it just interested me so much what they did. And so I joined Adventist World Aviation originally to become a pilot and an aircraft mechanic. And so as I've been studying to become a pilot and aircraft mechanic, the Lord has opened my eyes to other avenues where I can be of service. One of those avenues is in disaster response. I responded to Mayfield, Kentucky back in December of 2021. And I remember the destruction that I saw there. the horrendous, just complete and utter disaster that the tornado had caused. 240 miles of just destroyed landscape, of houses tossed across the streets, of everything being torn apart. I remember the work that I did there, and I remember helping save the life of a veteran. I remember helping other individuals. A lady at a gas station who needed prayer and support, handing out glow tracts, delivering supplies with a box truck.
They pulled up to this truck and they're like, "Hey, are you guys giving supplies out?" And we were like, "Yeah, we are." And they just broke down crying right in front of us. And we prayed with them. And man, that just touched my heart. I'm really emotional right now. I'm trying to hold it back, but I'm so happy I'm with Adventist World Aviation. I have not made a difference like this in years. Touching lives. Get to pray with people, give them literature, touch them in their spiritual need, build their spiritual need as well as their physical. And that's what we're all about. And it's filling my heart. It's ministering to me just as much as I'm ministering to them. So yeah.
I remember being a part of something that was so special, and I thought to myself, isn't this what I signed up to go to the Air Force for? And the Lord brought this into my heart and said, I want you to develop a disaster relief program for Adventist World Aviation. And I thought to myself, this is the moment where I can take that model so that others may live and apply it here. In disaster zones, a lot of people believe that we only go there to save lives, to pull someone out of the rubble. And while all of that is important and beautiful, one of the most important things that disaster zones allow us to do is that everybody there is receptive. Here in the United States, I knock on a door as a literature evangelist or as a Bible worker, and everyone says no. Everyone rejects you. No one wants prayer. No one wants anything to do with God. But in a disaster zone, everyone is looking for some kind of a hope, whatever it is. And all of a sudden, atheists, they want to pray with you. Just different denominations, religions, beliefs, they don't care. They just want a word of prayer, the word of God with you. They want Bible studies. They want to hear music. They want to hear you sing about God. Anything that it takes. And so I thought to myself, wow, this is amazing. This is what I want to be. This is what I want to do. I remember when I was a little kid, I was out here I was out at the beach, kind of like I am now. And I was in the waves, in the water. And I remember that I was trying to swim. I was trying to stay afloat. And little did I know that the current was taking me away. I didn't know how to read the current back then. I remember that at the last minute, I looked behind me and the shore was so far away. I didn't know what to do. I was struggling. And I remember fighting for my life to get back to shore. However, I didn't know how to swim. And I was fighting to get back to shore, and I was struggling, and I was fighting, and I was getting tired. And someone who doesn't know how to swim, all they do is kind of flap around, and wanting to make it, but I couldn't. And every once in a while, the waves would take me under, and my feet would touch the bottom of the water. And when I would touch the bottom, I would kick back up and gasp for air. And little by little, I was drowning. And then eventually, I remember when no longer I could move, when I was so tired, I could not keep fighting the water, I could do nothing. I remember saying, help. No one could hear me. I was too tired to scream louder. And at the last moment, I remember just simply standing up. And right below me was a rock. Out in the middle of nowhere. Like, in all this water, there was a random rock right where I decided that I had given up. Just a random rock. And I look back at that moment and I think to myself, wow, God, you've always been there for me. You've always been that rock for me. You've always been my sure foundation. And that's what I want to do now. I don't just want to be that person that goes out into the ocean and saves someone. I don't want to be that person that skydives only and jumps from a plane into a remote area where I can save someone's life. That's not the person that I want to be. Not entirely. That's able to deliver the gospel in the hardest to reach places. I want to be able to be there when the person is at their lowest. I want to be that rock for them, just as God is that rock for me. I want to do. And so I have been training as a disaster relief specialist here at AWA. I have been jumping at different opportunities to expand my skills. Recently, I went with Gideon Rescue Company out to Utah, Cataract Canyon, and we spent an entire week out in the wilderness doing swift water rescue training so that we can deploy to areas of floods and disasters, hurricanes, and deploy to these disasters. And when you're in those disaster areas, then you're able to minister to all of those people who have been affected by those disasters. So we are here in Cataract Canyon, and right now it's pretty slow. We just started on our journey. As you can see, I am a bit taller than everybody else. That's because I'm sitting at the top of one of these boats. So essentially I'm sitting at the top of like that right there. And my partner down below, who's mainly doing all the work, is Greg. All right. There he is. And I won't be up here doing, letting him do all the work the entire time. When he gets tired, we'll switch off. But yeah, so this is good. Right now we're kind of trying to, get the hang of the water. I love this moment. I'm learning, I'm asking questions. It's a beautiful environment. We're with a bunch of people here who love the Lord and want to save lives and do better. So I'm excited for this journey. This river is obviously going to get a lot more dangerous later on. There's going to be level 4 or 5 rapids coming up, probably in a day or two. We're spending 7 whole days out here in the wilderness. So it's a good environment to train. And it's not for the faint of heart, but it definitely is worth it. Marching through Emmanuel's ground, we're marching through Emmanuel's ground, to fairer worlds on high, to fairer worlds on high. We're marching to Zion, beautiful, beautiful Zion. We're marching upward to heaven, the beautiful city.
30 or 40 of these systems, all crazy you've done it.
Finally, just beginning to.
Okay, okay, everyone back out though. Darren, you're the one that let us know once you hooked that, so we can. 1 second, stop.
You're good.
A rescuer doesn't go to a location because it's safe. A rescuer doesn't jump in the water because they want to or because it's fun. A rescuer trains the way that they do because they are preparing to be there for someone's worst possible day or moment. And I want to be there for that person who is experiencing the worst possible day of their life. I want to be able to be there. It's like Jesus and the disciples. When the disciples were going through the storm and they were just struggling and they couldn't get a hold of it. Jesus came walking on the water to reach them. In that same manner, I want to be able to be there for people at their worst possible case. And when I am there, instead of presenting myself, instead of saying, I rescued you, I want to present Jesus. And this is what Adventist World Aviation is all about. We have a mission to reach 800 million people that have never heard of Jesus because they are outside of geographic barriers, meaning that the only way to reach them is to do the impossible, to fly in the remote places, to go beyond those barriers, to land in places that are difficult, to help people all the way where they are, hundreds of miles from anything civilized. So how do you take that concept and apply it here to the United States, where everyone is happy and in need of nothing, where they reject the gospel at every turn, where everyone has a Bible but nobody reads it? How do you apply that concept here to the United States? Well, when a disaster strikes, that area, it's like it becomes a third world country. It's difficult to reach. It becomes hard to get supplies. The people feel hopeless. The sickness rises. Necessities, like simple things like taking a shower, are taken away. The internet, your phone service, all of that disappears just within a few moments. It is in those moments that an opportunity presents itself where in the past there was none. And it's in that moment that we can go in and everybody is in need of something. And when you present the gospel, when you present Jesus, they take it like like it's water to their soul. They take it like they've been wanting it their entire lives. It's sad to see how it's in our lowest moments at times that God tends to reach us. And I experienced that myself as I was going through the Air Force, as I was experiencing what it was like to have my legs fractured and not being able to walk normally. It was in my lowest moment that God reached me. Just like when I was in the ocean and I stood up on that rock, just a random rock in the middle of nowhere. It is in those moments that people are most receptive to the calling of God. And that is where I want to be. Right there. That is the mission. One of those tools that I'm currently working on achieving is becoming a search and rescue dog handler. One of the things we realized was that when we go to a disaster zone, a lot of times, a lot of the rescuers who are trying to get in and do work, they're not actually allowed inside. But dog handlers with search and rescue dog teams, they're given a pass to the front of the line. They're able to walk in, and it's almost like all the doors in that disaster zone are open for them. And they're able to go in and they're able to minister and do their work. So we are currently trying to get a search and rescue dog here for Adventist World Aviation, Wings for Humanity. And we are hoping to work with the local police department and local fire department, as well as deploy overseas and here throughout the United States with a search and rescue dog, which would open up the opportunities for us to be able to move into these disaster zones where otherwise we would be unable to do so. A search and rescue dog typically will cost anywhere from $11,000 to $20,000 in order to be fully trained and ready to go. We are currently looking for $15,000 in order to train our own rescue dog and have it at our headquarters here at AWA to be able to use that tool as a way of ministry. All these things are tools that we use for ministry, whether it's an instrument in music that we bring to a disaster zone to uplift the morale and the mood of the individuals there, or just a simple dog who is able to rescue someone and pull them out of the rubble. So these are tools that we are trying to implement here at Adventist World Aviation. Many of the tools needed for disaster response are very expensive. We have a creature craft raft that we are looking to purchase in the future to help with flood zones and disaster relief programs. and those are anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000 each. We're looking for a search and rescue dog, and that is anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 for the training. We're also looking to travel back and forth between disasters. Every trip that we take can cost anywhere from $300 to $1,000 or more in fuel costs for the aircraft. We are looking to expand our horizons and be there where people need it the most. We don't want to be the last persons that arrive on site. We want to be the very first, like we were in Mayfield, Kentucky. We want to be able to land in a location and say, hey, we are here to help you, and we are here to spread God's word wherever we go. We are only limited by the amount that we have. So the more we have, the more we can do. I really like 2 Corinthians chapter 8 and verse 3. And it says, "For I bear witness that according to their ability, yes, beyond their ability, they were freely willing, imploring us with much urgency that we would receive the gift and the fellowship of the ministering to the saints. And not only as we had hoped, but they first gave themselves to the Lord and then to us by the will of God." It's absolutely amazing. This church in Macedonia wanted to be a part of Paul's ministry. They wanted to give to Paul. But the formula for giving, according to this verse, is that first they gave themselves to God, and then they gave to them by the will of God. I love that, because that means that I have to give myself to God first. And then after I give myself to God, and you give yourself to God, God connects us, the missionary and the supporter, and together we can accomplish God's work here on earth. So whatever God places in your heart, whether it's 5, 10, 20, 50, 100, 1,000, 2,000, whatever it may be the case, whatever God places in your heart, please give. The work that we do is extremely important, and it cannot happen without you.